This is a study I've been kind of wanting to do for a while. It is called Unity Is Not Uniformity. It uses a variety of different scriptures, mainly from the book of Philippians. So let's start in Philippians chapter 1 in verse 27. Just one thing, as citizens of heaven, live your life worthy of the gospel of Christ. Then whether I come and see you or am absent, I will hear about you, that you are standing firm in one spirit, in one accord, contending together for the faith of the gospel, not being frightened in any way by your opponents. This is a sign of destruction for them, but of your salvation, and this is from God. For it has been granted to you on Christ's behalf not only to believe in Him, but also to suffer for Him, since you are engaged in the same struggle that you saw I had and now hear that I have. Continuing on in Philippians 2, starting in verse 1, if, then, there is any encouragement in Christ, if any consolation of love, if any fellowship with the Spirit, if any affection and mercy, make my joy complete by thinking the same way, having the same love, united in spirit, intent on one purpose. Do nothing out of selfish ambition or conceit, but in humility consider others as more important than yourselves. Everyone should look not to his own interests, but rather to the interests of others. Philippians 4, verse 2, I urge Euodia and I urge Syntyche to agree in the Lord. Now, I've heard sermons on these passages that would lead the listener to believe that the key to unity in the church is uniformity. If you were to pull into an average American church on Sunday morning, you would probably find not a whole lot of diversity. Most every church I've attended in this country is really very homogeneous, demographically, social status, economic standing. And I understand that it's natural for birds of a feather to flock together, but our churches have become not a cross-section of society, but exclusive social clubs. The church in Philippi was a melting pot. You had a poor slave girl. You had a middle-class jail guard who was Roman. You had an upper-class seller of purple. You had a Roman soldier, a God-fearing woman, a demon-possessed Gentile. Maybe that's why Paul talks so much about unity, but he didn't tell everyone to become the same. He's told everyone to have a common goal. Jumping back into chapter 1, verse 27, I will hear about you, that you are standing firm in one spirit, one accord, contending together for the faith of the gospel. In one accord. For what reason? Contending together for the faith of the gospel. Looking in chapter 2, verse 2, make my joy complete by thinking this way. What way? Having the same love, united in spirit, intent on one purpose. That's key, intent on one purpose. He goes on to say, do nothing out of selfish ambition or conceit, but in humility consider others as more important than yourselves. Everyone should not look to his own interests, but rather the interests of others. I have listened to a pastor who used this passage to propose that humility is the basis for unity. I disagree. I think Paul is elaborating on the previous thought, and that thought being intent on one purpose. To be intent on one purpose means you must put your selfish ambitions and conceit aside. The purpose becomes more important than your own interests. The goal overshadows our personal and selfish motives. That's humility. Humility is not cowering under the authority of another person. Humility in this situation is saying the achievement of the group is more important than my personal achievement. The group's goals, the group's achievement is more important than my personal achievement. Think of a team in the midst of a playoff championship. They work together in a fashion that the whole becomes greater than the sum of the parts. And any person on that team would gladly be benched if they knew it meant winning the championship. That's humility, being willing to sacrifice for the greater good. Another verse that gets thrown around about unity, coming from John 17:20, the priestly prayer, I pray not only for these, but also for those who believe in me through their word. May they all be one, as you, Father, are in me, and I in you. May they also be in us, so that the world may believe you sent me. I have given them the glory you have given me, so that they may be as one, as we are one. I am in them, and you are in me, so that they may be made completely one, that the world may know you have sent me, and I have loved them, as you have loved me. I know a lot of people that would say the modern church has failed in this regard, that our denominations and micro-denominations have created great disunity. And while that at times that is true, I don't believe that Jesus is telling us that we have to be clones. Verse 21, may they all be one. Well, what does Jesus mean by that? Does he mean like we are a row of paper dolls? God is spirit, and we believe that Jesus is God incarnate, so the same Spirit is both of them. Well, that's easy when you're a spiritual being, but how does that happen with physical beings like you and me? Well, fortunately, Jesus continues and defines what he is trying to communicate. Verse 21 again, may they all be one, as you, Father, are in me, and I am in you. Notice that Jesus indicates that he and the Father are separate, yet linked. They are part of each other, but they have their own identity. He doesn't say, be as one as we are the same. Think of this as being arm in arm with someone working toward a common goal. Now, that metaphor is a little insufficient because the meaning here is more than just joining arms. It is deeper. It is more than physical. It's emotional. It is a tying together of hearts and desires. It is seeking a common goal together. And then Jesus states that common goal twice in this passage. Verse 21, so that the world may believe you sent me. Verse 23, so that the world may know you have sent me. Sounds similar, doesn't it? And have loved them, the world, as you have loved me. Jesus prays that we will be one like he and the Father are one, linked but unique, pointed in the same direction, pulling together for a common goal. That goal is evangelism, so that the world may believe you sent me, to tell the world that they may know that you have sent me, and that you, God, love them as much as you have loved me. A couple of examples that I want to use from my past to illustrate this concept. The first, for 3 years, I served on a city council in Monte Vista. And during that time, we accomplished very little. Why? Because the 5 of us could never find a single purpose to be intent on. We never could establish a point of light on the horizon to aim for. And because we never had a common goal, we spun around like a child's toy top losing velocity. In 3 years, we accomplished very, very little because we were not unified. We did not have a common goal. The second illustration comes from my senior year in high school. I was part of a championship choir. Now, this was a public school, and this was truly a cross-section of society. We had the rich, we had the poor, we had the promiscuous and the pure. We had the hoods and the socias, we had Christians and drug users and drinkers, and everybody was represented in that choir. But we had one focus: to win a multi-state competition. It didn't matter who you were, what side of the tracks you came from, what kind of car you drove, or what you did last weekend. When the director walked in the room, all eyes were on her. There were no personal agendas. There were no selfish ambitions. We knew that to win regional competition, we had to put our differences aside and act as one. We were intent on one purpose. And we did win, because we were unified in our goal and how to get to that goal. We were still individuals. And unlike the movie The Breakfast Club, we didn't hug it out in the end. We won, because when we got on stage in front of the judges, we acted as one, even though we were individuals. And that is unity.